Well, the Elementary Teachers Federation of Ontario kicking off the new school year yesterday, announcing that it is seeking an injunction to keep the 2015 sex ed curriculum in place and to axe the Ford government's so-called snitch line. Are the teachers legally able to challenge the PC government? Joining me live now, Andrew Pinto, specializing in civil litigation and public law here in Toronto. So that's the question, Andrew. Do you think this is all, or how do you think this is all going to play out?
Well, I do think that the Elementary Teachers Federation of Ontario does have some pretty good legal precedent and some force behind its application yesterday that was filed. And don't forget that the Canadian Civil Liberties Association and a mom who has a grade 6 student have also previously challenged this legislation. And not to mention, in the Human Rights Tribunal of Ontario, there are some families that are challenging this legislation. But returning to your question about EDFO, essentially what they're saying is that there are constitutional arguments and arguments that the Education Act itself prevents or attempts to suggest that what the present government is doing doesn't make sense and is unreasonable.
There are a lot of parents watching right now, and you know, this is day 2 of school for many of the students, and a lot of them are saying, is my child going to be caught in the middle? What are they going to be taught? Should I be using this so-called snitch line? What is the message to parents on perhaps what a timeline might look like in the courts?
Well, the timeline is fairly quick. One of the things that both EDFO and the other applicants are doing is suggesting that the matter can be brought this September because there is, in fact, a little bit of chaos in the curriculum. The so-called snitch line is really a website which allows parents to file a complaint directly to the teachers, Ontario College of Teachers, which is something quite unusual because normally the system works through the local teacher and the superintendent, etc. So that's going to cause a bit of chaos. But let's not forget that we've sort of been here before, maybe 20 years ago, when same-sex marriage was coming up and was much more controversial than perhaps it is today. In British Columbia and Alberta, the governments then had some provisions which were ultimately challenged all the way up to the Supreme Court of Canada. And what the Supreme Court of Canada said in a 2002 ruling is that tolerance is always age appropriate. And so I think that's what my sense of where this challenge is going to go.
Though that challenge, again, like you said, went to the Supreme Court, you don't foresee that happening here?
I would be surprised. I think what's going to happen is that the present government will probably likely tweak its attempts, its directives to try to make it more immune to legal challenge. But if it is challenged, I do think that both EDFO and the CCLA do have some strong legal backing, and in particular because there's a provision in the Education Act which says that education must be inclusive without discrimination to some of these groups. Let's also not forget that things like cyberbullying, HIV, sexting are just not present in this curriculum. And I think that that will be played as a safety issue to parents and to the community, which is always important to courts as well.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how this all plays out. Andrew, do come back, and then we'll talk about it as the courts continue to discuss. Thank you so much for that.